Hello, everybody. I should have said something when I first started recording live, but here we are in my office. I'm Martinez-Bateman. I'm the CEO of New Coyote Consulting. I'm wearing this hat because I washed my hair today and I don't want it to get all, etc. Also, the heat. I swear to God, we literally just got the internet back up in my office and the main heater went out. So I've got this guy down here. She's pulling her weight. She's doing good despite her size. But but I've got to get somebody in here to deal with the heat. Technically, I'm also on Zoom. I've got Zoom people in my earbuds, but there's nobody in the Zoom room. I may close it in about 10 minutes if there's nobody there. I may keep it open the whole time. It's not like it's not like in the way. Oh God, my neck is so sore. Having Zoom down here is not in the way. But yeah, that's it. Let's talk about what I have to do today. I have a ton of to-do items, just sort of like general tasking. I've got to buy my holiday gifts for my clients. I've got to make sure everything's set up so that I can go on vacation. It's Friday, December 17th. I'm actually taking vacation until January 3rd, which is, I haven't been able to do that in so long, maybe never. I'm not entirely sure when the last time I've been able to take that long of a vacation is, especially around this holiday, around Christmas holidays. So that's bonkers. I probably will come into the office for a couple of things. At the end of the day, I am still the boss, so stuff has to happen, and I'm prepared for that. But I took a week and a day long vacation for Thanksgiving, and I only worked an hour during that entire thing, and it was broken up into a half an hour on week 1 and another half an hour on week 2. So it says your connection is unstable. Please wait while we try reconnecting. Is the internet out again too? Oh my God. Please just work. Why did this office go 2 years working really well and then just everything's breaking right now? It's okay. It happens. We can deal with it. I'm starting to just be used to the fact that there's just always going to be something wrong with something. And like recalibrate, there's just always a lot more steps than I think there's going to be. I remember this when I was younger and I was broke and I had very little resources. Things just always took me a longer time than everybody else because, well, everybody else I knew, because I didn't have, stable housing. I didn't have healthcare. I didn't have, or stable healthcare. Planned Parenthood was actually my only healthcare provider for a really long time. Shout out to them. I still do give them money to this day because of that. Thanks for saving my life. But yeah, it just took longer because I was poor, and that was it. And now I'm feeling like it feels the same again, which is frustrating because I've worked really hard to get to a comfortable financial place in my life, but because of sort of pandemic and supply lines and other things, other mitigating factors, everything's taking a long time again. So it's like, okay, well, I'm used to this. I know how to do this. I know how to navigate this. I can readjust my expectations, but still kind of a bummer. I have one person. It says I have one person viewing, but it also says that I have an unstable connection. So I don't know what that means, but welcome if you're here. I'm going to get started on the stuff I have to do today. Feel free to drop your stuff in the chat. Yep, still nobody in, what's this thing? Zoom. I'm also going to eat some yogurt, by the way. Oh, I have someone in the Zoom room. Hey. Good, how are you? That's okay. I think you're the only one coming today anyway. Yeah, because I do this. Oh, because I do this on Zoom and I do it on YouTube. So I have my like network on Zoom of like people that I know, and then I do it on YouTube Live that anyone can just like pull it up and watch. But the people on YouTube can't hear. Yeah, they can't hear you, so don't worry about that. But I keep getting this notification from YouTube that's like, your connection is unstable. Your connection is unstable. And I'm just like, you know what? Fine. Okay, cool. Yeah, it'll just be like that. Well, and I walked into my office today and I turned on the heater and it started and then it just died. Yeah, I have an electric heater that I'm using but the wall heater is dead. And I'm just like, oh, cool. Yeah, getting an electrician out on Christmas to fix the wall heater is going to be so fun. I don't think it involves a lot of running around. I think it's just like I have to call somebody and get on their schedule, and it probably won't get fixed for a while. Thankfully, this is my last day of work, so I won't have to like worry about it for 2 weeks. But no, just for we're just hanging out at home. I just thought like I want to have I want to have a break at the end of the year because it's been a hard year. And B, I want to be able to like do Christmas, Yule, holiday things and not worry about what time it is. And then also, none of my clients had big campaigns. And I was just like, you know what? This is great. I'm going to take the last 2 weeks of the year off. Most everyone is anyway. And just chill and have a vacation. Yeah, it's the longest vacation I've taken in literal years. Thank you. It's hard work. It's a lot of saying no to like specifically men. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And then also like examining my assumptions. Like about 3 years ago, I realized that as a child growing up, I assumed that if I cared about something, it was going to hurt me. And that's how I entered the working world with a lot of care. I mean, that's why we're in this industry, right? We're in the nonprofit industry because we care about the world. And I brought that assumption along that if I cared about it, I had to let it hurt me. Yeah, and then as soon as I realized that, I was like, "Oh, wait a second. This is really, really old thinking, really a garbage garbage assumption, and not accurate at all." And in fact, not letting something hurt me is a great way to care for it as well, because then you don't, you know, you're establishing healthy boundaries, you're having healthy practice. Mm. Mhm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that and there's this sort of like there's a sunk cost fallacy, and then there's that incrementalist fallacy where because something is slightly better than it was before, but it was so bad before that slightly better is still very bad. I get I get in that. I definitely like the organization I left before I started what became New Coyote. That was definitely a part of it. Was I showed up and it was really horrible. And then a bunch of things changed and it got a lot better. But actually, looking back, it only got better in certain areas. There was always sort of like a status quo of awful. Um, but we would all tell each other, right? It was, and part of it was that I'm convinced that the person who was in charge kept the status quo of awful so that no one was ever looking at him and his behavior. Um, so that everyone would always be scrambling and be urgent and be in an emergency state and never be able to sit down and examine things and be like, wait, why is it we're always in this position? Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's really, yeah, because one of the things I realized is that, while we as an organization were doing this justice process, going through this compassionate, change, which resulted in ever so incremental, just barely enough to, eke on by changes with this person. Lots of other people were leaving because they were frustrated. They were getting let go because of budget shortfalls that this person had created. Um, they were experiencing all manner of workplace, stress and issues because of this person that we were being so patient, so loving with. And at a certain point, I had to look around and be like, wait a second. When I line up all of the people who have been let go, who have had to leave, who have experienced hardship, while we're being compassionate with this person and trying to have a justice process, it's very clear that the people on the side who are being impacted by this one individual that we're trying to be so patient and loving with, they're majority POC, majority women, majority disabled, LGBTQ, and then this person that we're being so patient with is not. And it's like, who do we extend our patient, loving kindness to? Right? Right. And the truth, right. And it, we end up with, we don't want to think about people not telling the truth, but for a variety of reasons, people will say things that aren't true. We'll say it to ourselves. Oh, this is getting better. And that's not true. But, right? You tell someone, these are the specific KPIs that I need you to hit in order to show that you're participating in this process. And they just barely brush that number because it's been laid out ahead of time. One must ask oneself, is this an honest engagement in the process? Mm-hmm. 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 Well, because that poverty porn that you're talking about, it glorifies capitalism, right? Like, we have this idea that the person who's next to me on the train who looks normal, or what I think of as normal, right? Who looks like me, they're not going to be struggling with food insecurity, because the promise of capitalism is that only people who, don't toe the line, those are the ones that have food insecurity. And it's like, that's not true at all. And it keeps people from getting services. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I think about it. Sorry, I had to report a spammer on my YouTube channel. Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about what kind of work do we wanna do, and then how do we make that happen? How do we secure our boundaries? I mean, it's easier to set these things up when you're not getting work, than to try and go back after the fact and put them in place. Um, I've noticed that, about the fact that, you know, we started 2020 with basically nothing, you know, because of the pandemic, we were completely wiped out. And so it was way easier to set a foundation that was more caring and holistic. And then when people came up against it, it was easier to just say, oh, yeah, no, we don't do that, than to go to existing clients and say, oh, hey, so we decided that we're going to do this thing now. And sticking your guns about that was hard. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I talk a lot with the people that come to the co-working about pricing, how to price so that you're not overworking yourself, how to budget so you're not overworking yourself, budgeting your energy so that when you do work, you get stuff done, especially if you're working on a project basis. Yeah, it's hard. I think the times I've said no have just been around. I look at an organization, I look at, you know, do they do what they say they're going to do? Do I see that kind of delivery? And I'm not talking about like, you know, if they say they're going to build a park, do they build a park? But do I see, if they say that they're equity focused, what's their leadership team look like? If they say that they're accessible, what's their website look like? Is it accessible? Like things like that, you know, trying to sort of like look at for receipts. Because I spent way too much time looking at what people said they were doing and not enough time working with people who did what they were saying, like looking at what people were doing. Mhm. 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 Yeah, I feel like I just barely got in front of this huge zeitgeist because it was October of 2019 when I was at work and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I was just sitting there in a meeting and someone said, so, honestly, something truly horrible and personally, like attacking me. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, it was, I wrote about it in a couple of different places, but they were just like, they called out my disability, the fact that I'm disabled. And they said, that's probably why you're confused, is because you're disabled. And I was like, that's not how that works. And and then with no context, they brought up the fact that my husband and I are trying to adopt kids and made fun of that. And I was just like, I am leaving. Like, I was like, oh, okay, there is a line. I have a line and that's it. This is like a double whammy of those two things, attacking literally my identity and my family planning. Was it? That was the line. And I just, oh yeah. Yeah, that was definitely part of it, where it was like, if anybody else, I was sitting there and I was like, if anybody else told me that this had happened to them at work, I would be immediately connecting them with every labor lawyer that I know. Like, I was like, I had put up with a lot. Like, that didn't just come out of nowhere. Things were escalating and I kept telling myself, it's okay, I can handle it. It's okay, I can handle it. And then I realized, like, oh, wow, so me bright-siding and gaslighting myself has led to this. I gotta leave. I gotta get out of here. And so I made an arrangement with the organization. We parted on good terms because of our conversations after that point. And I was just like, I can't let that be a thing that happens again. And so in October, I was like working from home, working maximum 4 hours a day, but honestly working like an hour and a half a day. And still actually was far more successful in my campaign after I said, this is it, here's what you're going to get from me, and you're going to take it or leave it. Was 40%, made a 40% more than goal on that campaign, working an hour and a half a day. Well, and it's because we were all so exhausted. And part of that was because there was this person who was extremely abusive, who was in leadership, who was just sucking up all of the energy in the room. But we were all so exhausted. We were all always trying to catch other people's spinning plates as they fell, and then we would leave our own plates, and those, we were just like always doing this thing. It's the nonprofit shuffle where everyone's always trying to jump in and save everyone else. And so then it's this cascading thing of like, well, you didn't do this. Well, I didn't do that because you didn't do this. Well, I didn't do that because you didn't do this. And as soon as I got out of that whole rigmarole and just focused on my work and my priorities and did the things I knew would get results, I was successful. And I didn't, which is good because I was sleeping like 12, 15 hours a day because I was so burnt out and so exhausted. Oh yeah, I had to recover. I had to go into like a period of recovery from burnout. Hopefully a higher level. Good. Yeah. And that toxic thought of, I've already invested so much into this. Well, yeah, it's you're throwing good energy after bad. It's that. But then I remember I was at something. This is when I was sort of figuring out that I was in burnout and that I needed to leave and that things needed to change, and I couldn't sort of like put the pieces together. And I only met her the once. She was like, she was like a chaos angel in my life. She came through to this meetup. She latched onto me for some reason, and I was talking about, how stressed I am and how I don't know what to do about this situation at work. And she said, well, you have to stay. You have to stay because you have to continue to do this good work. And I remember my entire body felt repulsed by that. I was like, nope. And like literally, I had been telling myself the same thing for months. And then she said it to me with this expectation that I sacrifice myself for a greater good. That was not a greater good. The thing that was tearing me down was not the clients. It wasn't the job. It wasn't the mission. It was the abusive person who was squatting on this leadership position and making everyone else crazy. And I realized it was in perspective where I was like, oh, I'm not, all of this pain that I'm suffering, all of this work that I'm doing is not for the fucking mission. It's not for the people. It's for this dude. And he doesn't deserve my energy. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It is. It is. And I got some pushes to apply to this, and I never even applied. So I don't know what would have happened if I had applied to this org over the summer. And it looked really good. It looked like they were looking for someone like me. And I was looking at it, and like 5 different people emailed me this listing. Like it felt very much like I was getting pushed into this. And I looked at what I wanted. Like I looked at the organization. I looked at the job description. I looked at the way that they had interacted with me as a donor in the past. That was something that I thought was really important. Especially if I was going to be the development director for this org. And I realized, like, would this be an opportunity? If I got this job, would it be an opportunity to implement my leadership theories on a larger scale? Which is that actually we need to be working fewer hours so that we can be more productive, because the 40-hour work week is not conducive to productivity. It's only conducive to exhaustion, which only serves mega huge businesses and not small nonprofits. And I was like, could I do that? Could I try to put the brakes on this train that's been going, for a while now? They were an established org. Do I want to fucking turn that car around and have everyone in it be fucking pissed at me until they experienced the increase in productivity that comes from working fewer hours? And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm okay here. Yeah. And it's like, I would have instantly, but yeah, I would have instantly made more money than I'm making on my own. But I was just like, okay, but not that much more. And then I would have had to have the expectation of a director in your bog standard nonprofit is so insane that, I mean, could I fight that? Yeah. Do I want to? No, I've got other things to focus on. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's, for me also, it's like an experiment. Like, as many variables as I can control by being the executive director of this organization or the CEO of this organization, I'm going to control them because I want to get sort of like clean data as much as possible. Obviously, there's things that are outside of my control, but actually, like, it having been a pandemic basically for the entire time that we've existed has, I think, really proven that this is like a bulletproof strategy. Mhm. That's good. That's really good. Yeah, it takes a long time to recover. I mean, think about it, like, we've been doing this to ourselves on and off our whole careers. So a couple of months of recovery time is sort of, like, very small. Mm. Yeah, that's I'm like, I can't even understand how I worked an 8-hour day before. I'm like, "How did I get anything done?" Well, and part of it is also, like, I was out of my house for, like, and of course, they weren't 8-hour days, right? Like, they were always longer than that. So I was out of my house, like, a minimum of 10 to 12 hours every single day. And part of it, right? And part of it is like, well, now I have new house-related chores that didn't happen because there was literally no one here for half of every single day, 5 days a week, and on weekends as well, because we had other things going on. But now it's like, we have to clean the kitchen twice a day because we cook every single meal there, which is honestly a dream, but also I'm like, I didn't know a kitchen could get cleaned this much. Right? Yeah. Well, and also like a bunch of things around the house. Actually, I was talking about the wall heater in my office that went out. Like a bunch of things around our house are like breaking. And I'm like, yeah, this is the most they've ever been used. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Keeps you alert. Makes you not want to stay in there, so you'll just get your stuff done and leave. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I really like this hangout too. This one's usually we have like someone, a couple people in YouTube, and then we have a person or two in the Zoom. Usually only one person in Zoom, to be honest. But we have one person in YouTube. They haven't introduced themselves. Hi, person. Um, but yeah, I think this one's just kind of sparsely populated, both because I rescheduled it. It's usually on Tuesdays. And also because it's the end of the year. So many people are just swamped or already on vacation, which is great. Awesome. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'll add you to January's. It's going to be on the 18th. Yeah, that would be great. And let me know what you're looking for. Yeah, no problem. It's just stuff happens. Like that's one of the gifts of this is that like I'm way more ready to accept that shit just happens. Mm-hmm. Yes, you do. All right. Mm-hmm. On vacation. I mean, I'm going to come back a little bit. Kate, my chief operations officer, is going to be working for a little bit, like more days, I think, into next week. So she'll be here. But yeah, I won't be back until January. Thanks. You too. Have a great holiday. Bye. Okay, I'm gonna end the Zoom. It's my one Zoom person left. I've got my one YouTube person hanging out. Oh, I talked my head off. I didn't do anything for the last hour but talk, y'all. Okay, buckling down, getting work done, actually doing it. Here we go. Starts now. Oh, hey, how are ya? I'm like working now. And then Lisa put something in the chat and I was like, I'm so people motivated, y'all. I can't. Okay, I want this report to go for this quarter. You had a sale last week? A big sale. Yes. Let's celebrate. Let's see. What can I put an emoji? I can put an elbow bump in the chat. Elbow bump. No, I don't know how to get away from the emojis. Okay, there it is. We were supposed to be on a break. How are you going to make up your break? Take back your time. Are you going to move a break into January? So I got to tell you, nothing. I swear to God, when I started this whole reclaiming my time thing, I know it's only like 2 weeks old or 3 weeks old, but it really helped me. I already have nothing in January, so no, don't count on a slump to be your break. You have to take an intentional break because one of these days you're not going to have any slumps. You are just going to have fucking work and work and work. And that's true for everyone, but especially you because you're good and talented and smart and organized and people like you. So you have to plan an actual break. I mean, if you're going to listen to me, you're welcome. You don't actually have to do anything I say. But in my experience, planning for slumps is always, it's like, what's that call? What's that law? Where anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So if you plan for a slump to be your break, you're not going to get a slump, which is helpful because then you get work, but it's not helpful mentally. You don't get that break you wanted. He also told us to raise our prices. Listen to him, dude. Yeah, dude, always raise your prices. Especially when a client says to. Because when a client tells you to raise your rates, what they're saying is, I like you and I want you to stay in business, and here's how much your competitors are charging, and here's the quality I think you should charge. Yes. I've told people to raise their rates a lot. I do it constantly. And here's why. Because over the years of me working for myself, I have contracted with a lot of really good people who do not charge enough. And what happens is I get to work with them for tops a year, and then they disappear, and then they go and do something else, and then they leave the profession, and then I don't have that good contractor anymore, and I have to go find someone else. And the person I find is sometimes not as good as the person that left the industry because they didn't charge enough. It's always a crapshoot finding a new contractor. So those of us who've been using contractors for a long time, we want our contractors to be expensive. I mean, not obviously, if they're too expensive, I'm actually like, yeah, go girl, get it. If I can afford them, I just understand that like they leveled up and that's cool. But I want them to be expensive. I want them to be charging market rate. I want them to be charging livable wage so that I can use them this year and next year and the year after, and I don't have to change my ways, because that's the thing that I don't want. More than having to pay more, I'm opposed to changing my habits. And the truth is, in general, the more a contract charges me, the more money they make me. So I'm frequently not mad when people charge a lot or raise their rates. That's cool. I understood you. Yeah. In general, most people start off not charging enough. And some people will say that that's good because you undercharge at first so that people get to know you and then they know your quality of work. But in my experience, that never. People who contracted with me when I was younger in business because I was cheap didn't like my quality of work. They didn't care about quality of work. They'd already resigned themselves to being cheap. And so when my work was quality, they didn't see it, or they didn't know what it, like they didn't understand the quality of it. They second guessed me because they assumed that I didn't know what I was talking about because I wasn't charging enough. And then when I did raise my rates, maybe they stayed around for a while, but eventually they didn't. So rare occasions. So like I've seen like TikToks where people are like, and I sell this for $1,000. And I personally am like, man, I would not pay that for that. But the thing is, they do sell it for $1,000 or they say they do. And so honestly, what happens after that is none of my business. But yeah. Long story short, almost everyone undercharges. Especially if you're not a straight white man. Okay, see you. Yes. Claim your break. Don't work on break. That's really cool. That's really cool. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to hear about that big gig. That's awesome. See you on TikTok. Or I guess I haven't seen you on TikTok in a while. Probably because you're working. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed co-working last month. We're doing it every month. Third Tuesday of the month. Not this week, obviously. It's Friday right now, but I just added up all the money I've made this quarter to put on my like earnings board, and it's not gonna fit. Which is quality problem to have. Do, do, do. Also, we basically made the same amount of money this last quarter of the year as we made for the entire year in 2020. So that's bananas. That's bananas. And by basically, I mean, actually, we went over. I don't know the exact number that we made last year, but I'm pretty sure we made more money in the last quarter of this year than we made in the entire year. It makes me so happy. Like, it makes me so happy, and it makes me so, like, I frequently don't let myself feel how stressful something is until it's, like, over. And it's not, like, over, obviously. But, it's definitely to, like, a milestone, like, to a safe place. That's incredible. All right. I'm going to go update my financial report somehow. That felt surreal to write that number on that board. I've already had to change the scale on the board because it was too small. And now I'm like already lapping it. I feel vindicated, and I also feel like, gosh, this has been a lot of work. You know, I think people hear me say that I don't work that many hours, and they're like, oh, yeah, it must be easy. No, it's a lot of emotional labor to, like, not overwork myself, to be careful and good to myself is as a lot of energetic work, hard work. And it's clearly paying off. But I'm under no impression that I didn't earn every single one of those cents. Did that. or? All right. It's 4 p.m. There's no one in here, but all y'all on the playback, thanks for coming with me. I know I talked for a solid hour and a half. I hope that's what you were wanting because